Hello, Roadrunner fans. This is JJ Perez from Inside Runner Sports, and welcome back to a new episode of the 13 Questions podcast, where I sit down with UTSA football players and coaches throughout this 2022 season and ask them the same 13 questions. We are entering week 3 of the 2022 college football season as the Roadrunners are coming off a thrilling come-from-behind win at Army this past week. Such a swing of emotions in that game. Wow. I mean, just being several days removed from that and seeing how that game played out was, pretty dramatic. You look at the way the both 2 weeks of the season has been for the Roadrunners, and they have been heart stoppers. Fortunately for the Roadrunners, UTSA was able to rally from a 14-point deficit and, beat the Army Black Knights on the road to earn their first win of the season. Really a gutsy, gritty win by the Roadrunners. I know they were kind of sloppy in a few areas that they want to clean up, but overall a pretty solid and decent performance. And I think UTSA might have actually played a little bit better in week 1 against Houston. So the best football seems to be ahead for the Roadrunners this week. They head up to Austin for their first ever matchup with the Texas Longhorns. This is the first of 5 games in a 5-game series with UT and UTSA. So that'll be another interesting game for the Roadrunners. We'll see how they do. They are, I think, 10, 11, 14 points, depending where the line is moved this week. So little respect being shown to the Roadrunners. And, for Texas, they're coming off a big showing against number 1 Alabama last week. So we'll see what happens up there in Austin this Saturday. Again, thanks to everybody who's listened to this 13 Questions podcast. Today we are joined by UTSA place kicker Jarrett Sackett, a transfer from Arkansas. Jarrett played at UTSA as a freshman and was named an All-American before transferring. He's got a pretty interesting story in that, he left UTSA looking for a bigger school, and he went to several different places and it kind of didn't work out. And now he's back at UTSA and coming from Arkansas. He actually was recruited and, coached over there in Arkansas by Jeff Traylor. So some pretty interesting conversations with Jarrett. 13 Questions podcast, UTSA place kicker Jarrett Sackett. Here we go. JJ Perez for Inside Runner Sports on the 13 Questions podcast. Jarrett, this is a new podcast I'm starting where I'm asking guys with UTSA just 13 questions. It's the same 13 questions. So it's like personal, football, a mix.
Yes,
so
sir.
Question number 1, what's your policy on naps? How do you feel about naps?
I take 30-minute naps, so I always set an alarm. We actually...
Every day?
Yeah, if I can, time permitting. I like to take my 30-minute nap. We had a sleep doctor come talk to us really early on in my career, and I used to love taking 1, 2, 3-hour naps if I had the time, but I started taking 30-minute naps, and it's helped a ton.
What did the doctor say about those long naps? They're not good for you, right?
Yeah, they're not good for you. You go into a deep sleep, and I would always wake up feeling more tired anyway, so stick to the 30-minute naps. It's better than drinking an energy drink.
Question number 2, speaking of sleeping, how often do you have dreams about football, and what was your most recent dream about?
Actually, last night, the biggest thing, it's stress-induced, but it's about, being late to meetings. I'll be dreaming that I'm, running late to my practice, or if I haven't, heard my alarm go off, I'll think that, I'm way late or I overslept, and so I'll wake up in a panic sometimes because you're just so used to the routine and schedule and making sure that you're where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
I have that one frequently as well.
Yeah.
Just always scared of being late.
Yeah.
Question number 3, which current person inside of UTSA football have you known the longest, and how did you all meet?
Hunter Duplessis.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually, no, I've known Caleb Canshaw the longest.
Okay.
We played on a Pee-wee football team together up in Fort Worth.
Wow.
So it was my first year of football ever. I think our team name was the Wolverines, and it was KSA football. All the middle schoolers loved playing their teams. You had a big draft, and we actually have a cool picture of us both walking off the field, and we're, I think, 14
Was
years
it just
old.
coincidence y'all ended up here at the same time?
A little bit of a coincidence. When
Yeah.
when Caleb was transferring, he had reached out to me, and we were looking for a long snapper at the time, so
Yeah.
that connection definitely helped, and I knew him from home. So
Awesome. Question number 4. If you could pick one form of social media to use and drop the rest, which one would you choose and why?
I'd probably choose Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
Visual?
the visual of it. It's good to keep us updated. Not too many words. You can just get to the point.
What kind of music do you listen to the most?
Country music.
Who are the 3 greatest country artists of your generation? Your generation.
Of my generation.
I mean, you could go old school if you want, but
definitely George Strait.
Okay,
He's got to
yeah.
be number 1. Man, old school. If I'm going old school, I like Merle Haggard, and, some Johnny Cash.
yeah, no, those are great ones. Yeah, I'm a big country guy myself, so those are great answers there. Question number 6. This is something I personally struggle with. What's the best way to get out of a conversation with someone who does not want to stop talking?
Probably make up a quick excuse, or say you got to use the bathroom, or you have a phone call.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 7. This is a wild card question for you from me. What is it like when you guys have almost like a fire drill type of a field goal, which we saw almost a little bit at the end of the game in week 1 there? Can you kind of just go through the whole process and then some of the emotions with that?
So a lot of it is just about, we talk about staying neutral in our emotions. I can't get too bought into the game. I need to pay attention to what's going on, but I can't get too emotionally invested, because that raises my heart rate and puts unnecessary pressure on myself. But I can't be too detached from it to where I need to be alert and focused and in my routine. But I kind of notice the situation, what's going on when a field goal is coming up. I'll go to the net, hit a few balls, and I try and just act like it's every other field goal or just an extra point. A big thing we always reiterate is one kick at a time. Every kick's the same. So when I jog onto the field, I kind of take myself to a different place, like my mental happy place, remove myself from that pressure and situation, and it's just about execution and letting muscle memory take over at that point.
It's kind of contrary to the other positions on like a football team where it's a lot of emotion, right? And you're kind of the opposite, right?
Yeah, so that's something specialists have to manage, being in the football locker room, and it's something I actually do miss a little bit from my days of playing soccer or when I did play positions in football in my younger years. Being able to get all like hype with the team and super invested, get the adrenaline flowing, because that's fun. That's what a lot of guys live for with football. But it's so technique and rhythmic based that, like I said, we have to stay neutral. But being able to manage that and not getting too hyped with the team, but still being a part and being a good teammate at the same time.
Great answer there. Question number 8. You a big NBA guy, basketball guy?
I'm not, but I have been following the Spurs.
Okay, so in terms of NBA GOAT, I'm talking Kobe, LeBron, or Michael Jordan. Which one would you lean towards?
LeBron.
LeBron, definitely, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a generational thing?
I think so. I grew up a Denver Nuggets fan, actually.
Oh, okay.
Since I'm in San Antonio, I'm following the Spurs a little bit, but when I was younger, I remember the Denver Nuggets playing against Kobe in the finals, and Kobe just killing us all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have to, go with LeBron there.
Question number 9, and this is a question I've been surprised with the answer with a lot of guys, so just kind of think about it as I'm asking. A genie appears and offers you the opportunity to go back to the beginning of your career to start all over, and you get to retain the knowledge you know now. Would you go back and start all over?
No, I definitely wouldn't go back. Mistakes and different, journeys that we take is what shape us into who we are. I can't say that I would do it any other way. because I am confident in all the circumstances that have happened have shaped me into who I am, and they've been lessons that I've needed to learn.
It's a great answer there. Question number 10. This is a hypothetical, and I want you to think of celebrities, either movie stars or other famous sports athletes. Coach Traylor, your position coach, and Ryan Philo, the strength and conditioning coach. They all have to miss a game. The athletic department has a deal where you're able to choose who replaces those guys, but it has to be a celebrity. So give me a head coach, a position coach, and a strength and conditioning coach you would pick a celebrity for.
A strength and conditioning coach, Ronnie Coleman.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Position coach, let's see. I would probably go with one of the kickers in the league, probably Justin Tucker.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that'd be a good mentor for me.
Yeah.
And a head coach, man, that would be hard. I'm going to pass on that one.
You're going to pass on that one. Okay, yeah.
Can't think of
Coach
the head
Traylor,
coach.
we'll get him on the phone to call that game. Question number 11. Thinking about your personal life, what is the last new habit or lifestyle change that you've made, either recently or in the past, that you're most proud of?
Recently, I've gotten just kind of with some of the boys that I live with. I've gotten more into. I'm leading a FCA group, and so I've been starting to get more into my faith and reading the Bible every single day and be more immersed in that. And so I think adding that with the culture of UTSA and the like I said, the boys that I live with. Everett's really helped me with that, but it's been a huge influence.
How long ago did you start that? Just this past season, or?
I've always been religious growing up. I grew up Catholic, but I think I really started getting serious about that since I got back to UTSA. It's been a really good mental piece for me, and a separate form of mentorship that I needed.
That's awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that. Question number 12. When you think about UTSA football 5 years from now, what are you most optimistic about, and what worries you the most?
The most optimistic I'm about is Coach Traylor always talks about, or we built the last or a flash in the pan, but the culture that I've seen here, I've never seen a football culture like it is, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon, because that gets passed down through new recruits and generations, and even the transfers that come in are instantly bought into it. They've been here for 4 years as well.
Yeah.
So I think the culture is going to continue to grow. As long as we can keep the city behind us, that would be the only concern, and getting the support from our donors, which have been great, and just continue rolling and building the foundation of what we have.
Question number 13 is another wild card question for me. You were here, you were a freshman All-American, you transferred, you came back. How exciting is it for you to be back here? A lot of people don't get the chance to go back to the place where I guess it's home for you, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. I was just talking to one of our staff members, and she was asking the same question, and I was walking into the tunnel, into the game, and I just had tears rolling down my face, and it was all happy tears because I was so blessed to be back.
That's awesome. Well, that'll wrap it up. Jared Sackett on the 13 Questions Podcast. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks to Jared for taking the time and UTSA setting that up. It's been a little hard for me to get some of these interviews in with all of the other weekly content we have on the website. So I certainly appreciate UTSA and the players working with me on getting some of these interviews for this podcast in. We actually recorded that at the Chicken and Pickle last week after the UTSA radio show. So that's why you hear some of the background noise. I kind of did my best with the microphones to try to limit that and sound that out, but it is what it is. Again, thanks to UTSA and Jared for taking the time there. Like I said, we recorded that before this past week's game at Army. Jared missed 2 field goals at Army, and it was pretty interesting how he talked about the process of making the clutch field goals at the end of the Houston game. So, it's a process. I know the team has a lot of confidence in Jared. After Wednesday's practice, Coach Traylor said, they put him in a kind of a tense situation with all the team around him, and he nailed it. So we'll see how Jared bounces back this week. He does have some pretty good stats so far on the season for the Roadrunners. He's been, pretty consistent. He hasn't missed a PAT, and overall he's 2 for 4 on field goal attempts. So we'll see how he does the rest of the way here for the Roadrunners. Again, thanks to everybody who's listened to the podcast. You could search for this podcast on the IRS Pod on any major podcast platform. Also, I've been putting these on the YouTube channel with the picture of the player, so you could find it there. And also Inside Runner Sports. Thanks again for everybody listening. Appreciate it, and we'll check back next week. Guests to be determined. Thanks.